Hello again. This is our webinar on how to win children over through storytelling. And today I've got Froggy with me. I would like to recap a little bit about the things we talked about last time. Well, we talked about 5 important points. The first one is choosing the story. The second one is you need to know the plot. You need to know the story very well. Number 3, prepare any material that might help you. See, do you see my hand? If I'm going to tell the story about Alice in Wonderland, this is the perfect cat. Number 4 is practice the story before. Practice it in front of a mirror, in front of a friend, in front of someone that you can trust. And finally, smile is so important. Well, I would like to go back to the first point to when we need to choose a story. There you need to think what your goal is and what's your objective and what do you want your audience to take home from the story. If it's little kids, for example, we've got this nice book here, Say Hello to the Animals, okay? This is a very, very, very short story with beautiful pictures about animals. With this book, I want my children, the children that are in front of me, to learn about animals, the name of the animals, okay? Then we've got, for example, Monkey Puzzle is about animals as well. It's a very nice story. Julia Donaldson, as I told you before, is one of my favorite authors. Julia Donaldson, and we talked about Room on the Broom the other day. This book is perfect for Halloween, okay, or for Carnival. That could be good. What about if we want to teach some content? Okay, every time I'm teaching 5 senses and I do a storytelling, I choose the book King Midas. Why? Because King Midas was the king that everything he touched turned into gold. So he used his hands and the sense of touch. That's why I introduce it with this story. If you're teaching instead the days of the week, you could use The Very Hungry Caterpillar by Eric Carle. Perfect, because you go day by day. On the first day, on Monday, he ate an apple. On Tuesday, he ate 2 pears. So see, this is perfect for days of the week. What about if we would like to teach values, or we would like them to receive a very clear message? I have these 2 books here as an example. The Rainbow Fish, that shows you about sharing. And sharing is awesome. Another book about sharing that I just discovered is Groovy Joe, Ice Cream and Dinosaurs, about sharing. Is fantastic and it's so funny. So this one is very beautiful, great message. And this one here, it's Red Riding Hood, but it's not the story we all know about Red Riding Hood. It has a different ending, and it's about the danger of strangers. So it's a good book. Okay. What about scary stories? If we love scary stories, if the children that are going to listen to this story love scary stories, In a Dark, Dark Room, the perfect book. Of course, remember that these books, you need to tell stories, scary stories, only with children a little bit big. I mean, not first graders or second graders, because they might get so scared to death. So big children, okay, for big children. What about if we have fourth or fifth graders, or maybe even first middle school. Okay, I've got these books, these different books. This one, it's fantastic. Why? Because it's the story of Red Riding Hood, but in this case, they invent the story. I mean, it's like, I'll show you just a bit. Okay, here they can choose what other outfits Red Riding Hood wears. For example, a banana or a hot dog, or maybe she dresses as a pirate. And then they choose the place where she lives, a castle, a cave, a tree house, and you go on with the story like that. And children invent the story, so they modify the Red Riding Hood throughout the storytelling, and that's good with big kids. Then, if you are going to talk about some other things, like for example, this one, it's a historical book, Ruby Bridges. It tells the story about a black girl that went into a white children's school. She was the only one being black, and well, it has a great message, you know, and it's a true story. The Troll, that's another one. If kids are too little, they might not understand it, so this is for big kids. Okay, so this is just when we talk about books. Now I want to go further on with our topic on how to win children over. How can we do that? Okay, we've got everything ready. Those 5 points are ready, and we have children in front of us. Okay, there are 3 things that we need to do. Well, first maybe you start singing or making them feel comfortable. But after that, you need to focus on 3 things. You need 3 things to win. You need 3 things to succeed in. These 3 things are, first one, you want them. What do you want them to feel? What do you want them to feel while you're telling the story? First, you want them to be focused. Focused. Because if they lose concentration on you, I mean, it's going to be a disaster. So we need to make them release a little bit of dopamine. Oh, dopamine. We're talking about brain here. Okay, and how do we do this? I mean, it's not easy. Well, to make them release dopamine, because dopamine helps us to focus. That's the thing. We need to create suspense. They need to be cliffhanging. They need to, we need to create a cliffhanger. So, how do we do that? Well, let's say I'm telling the story of, I don't know, Red Riding Hood. Okay, Red Riding Hood was walking in the park, in the forest, and she was singing and picking flowers. And then you go like that. You pause. You stop a little bit. Suddenly, oh my goodness, suddenly what's going to happen? So children are like, oh, what's going to happen? So they are focused on that. And then you go, suddenly, a wolf, something like that. Okay, they know something's going to happen, so they need to be focused to catch the right moment. Okay, that's one thing. So dopamine, they need to release dopamine to be focused on your story. Focus, and that helps with memory as well. Okay, number 2. Oxytocin. Do you know that, friend? That's like dopamine. You know, they need to release oxytocin in their brains. Why? Why do we have to make them release this? Because when you release oxytocin, you create a bond with the person you're talking to, or with the person, you know, if you're listening to a person, that person makes you release oxytocin, you're going to trust that person and you're going to create a bond. So, why do we want that to happen? Well, we want that to happen because we want them to create empathy with maybe a character in the story. So if we're telling a story to children of 7 years old, there must be a person, there must be a child or an animal that represents that age, okay? So they see that, oh, that child with the red hair, oh, she could be me, or I could be her, okay? Or maybe if we're talking, there's a very nice book, it's called Ruby's, I can't remember exactly the name because I found it in Italian, but it's about a little girl that she's worried about everything. And I remember taking this book to my school and telling the story because I had some children with these problems. They couldn't sleep at night, worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, or about school, or worrying about losing their parents. So I created empathy. They saw Ruby as themselves. Okay, so we've got dopamine and oxytocin, and then finally the third one, neurotransmitter. Okay, they're neurotransmitter. Endorphins. I want my children in front of you to create endorphins. Why? Because endorphins, when you release endorphins, you feel happy and relaxed. And that's the best part of everything. Okay, you need them to be focused, you need them to be, to create a bond, and you need them to feel relaxed. Okay, relaxed and creative. So, with endorphin, and how do we do that? Well, it's very easy. Instead of being like, like the queen in a pause, you need to be relaxed, so they relax themselves. And you need to smile. As I told you, my fifth point, you need to smile most of the time, and you need to be silly. And sometimes you might say, I don't know, are you telling the story about Red Riding Hood, and suddenly you're saying, well, the wolf here, the wolf there. Suddenly say, oh, the dog, and children go like, dog. Well, it was a wolf. Oh, you're right. I made a mistake. The wolf, you're right. So that way they feel like everybody makes mistake, even the person that I have in front of me. Even my teacher, if you're like the teacher of the class and you're doing that storytelling, don't be too perfect when you're telling the story, okay? That way they'll see, okay, she's human. She's not perfect, huh? Okay. So, and today we have arrived to an end of the second part, but it's not the end of the webinar. It's just we finished talking about these things today. I hope to see you next time. And don't forget to smile. Bye.